In this lesson, we will create the animation for the flower bud. Okay, so in between lessons, I finished up that last flower and got it staggered, that last stem there. So you can kind of see how that looks over time. I also reduced the stagger from, or actually increased the stagger from 2 frames to 3 frames. So now let's get started with the bud. So I'm going to turn those layers visibility on, and you can see kind of how that looks right now. So what we need to do is move the anchor points of these buds because I want to create a kind of scale animation. So if I select one of the buds and hit the S key, you can see that they're growing from the middle of the flower, and I want them to grow from the place where they attach to the stem. So let's come in here a little bit, maybe move it down so we don't get that little line, and I'll grab my pan behind anchor point tool. And this is going to allow me to move the anchor point down to where the bud attaches to the stem. So let's repeat that for our other 2 buds. We'll just grab it, move it down, grab it, and move it down. And then I'll grab my selection tool and just kind of adjust to place that a little bit better. Okay, looking great. So now let's create our animation. I'm going to start with the first bud, and I want it to pop out just as the stem does. So the first stem, if I select that layer and hit the U key, I can see that it finishes right there on that keyframe. So I'll just select my bud, and I'm going to turn down the scale to 0. So I'll bring up the scale property by hitting the S key. We'll take that down to 0, and I'll go ahead and set a key by hitting the stopwatch. And let's also give this that same 10 frames to animate, or actually I think we've given these 30. So let's just maybe do 20 for this because I don't want it to last quite as long. So I'll just hold shift and hit page down twice. And then I'm going to bring that back up to 100. Okay, so you can see. Very, very nice. And then we have a 2 frame stagger on everything else. So I'll just go forward 2 frames from this first key by hitting page down twice. And then actually what I can do is simply grab those scale keys, hit Control C, select the layer beneath it, and hit Control V. Now if I hit the U key, you can see those keys have been pasted. We'll go forward 2 more frames by hitting page down twice. Select that FB3 and hit Control V again to also paste. So that'll save you a little bit of time. Okay, so I'm going to pull this forward here, and let's just see what we've done so far by doing a quick RAM preview. I'm going to hit the 0 key on my number pad. And you can see that really beautifully grows and pops in there. Now, I think that these could be made a little bit better by adding some exaggeration to the stems and the buds. So let's actually come back in the next lesson, and I'm going to teach you how you can add some exaggeration to the stems and buds with just 1 extra key per group of keys, and it's really going to help bring this to life. So stick around and we'll be adding some exaggeration to the stem and buds in the next lesson.